Hello and welcome back to the ContenTable tutorial series. So last time we installed ContenTable, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a scriptable object type that ContenTable can serialize the data in your Excel document to. So we're going to start by creating a C# script, and so we have to decide what is this object going to represent. And I think a building, a building in like a real-time strategy game would be a good choice. So let's just call this building definition. All right, and we're just going to open that in Visual Studio. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say using ContenTable. And then instead of inheriting from mono behavior, we're going to inherit from not scriptable objects, but we're going to be inheriting from ContentObject, like so. And ContentObject is inherited from scriptable object. It's just a scriptable object that ContenTable knows to look for. So when using ContenTable, if your scriptable object doesn't inherit from ContentObject, then it won't show up in ContenTable's type selection dropdown. So that's just a nice way to keep your other scriptable objects separate from ContenTable if you so desire. All right, now we want to put values in our building definition. So let's talk about the values that we can store in a ContenTable object. A content object is compatible first and foremost with primitive types. So that's integer, uint, long, ulong, short, ushort, byte, sbyte, float, double, char, and bool. Decimal, despite being a built-in type in C#, is not considered a primitive type, and it also does not serialize in the Unity engine. So if you have a Unity object that has a decimal in it, and you try to put the serialized field tag on it, it will not show up in the editor. So decimal types are not, and by decimal I mean using the keyword decimal. Decimal types are not supported by ContenTable, but all the primitive types, that the aforementioned primitive types I mentioned, are. ContenTable also supports strings. It supports references to scriptable objects. So if we wanted to say scriptable objects A or whatever, I don't know, we would be able to link to scriptable objects in your project directory, your project's assets directory. And ContenTable, lastly, can support arrays and lists of all of the aforementioned types. Oh, and I almost forgot, ContenTable also supports enumerations. So, with that, we need to add some fields to this. So, let's start off with strings, and we're going to put in name, ID, and I'm just going to go ahead. Normally I wouldn't make this public, but this is just for the sake of a demonstration, so that'll speed things up. So, public string name ID. And I'm calling it name ID for two reasons. One, name is inherited from Unity object, and it would cover up that that value if it would hide that value if I did that. And secondly, when we get to localization, name ID is actually going to be more descriptive of what this particular field, what information is going to be storing. Don't worry, that's a little bit down the road. We'll get there when we get there. So next, I'm going to say public integer, and this being a strategy game, resource management is important, so it's going to be cost to build. We're also going to need public integer hit points, because we want to be able to blow up buildings in our game, and we need to know at what point should they blow up. Let's see. So let's say hypothetically the game we're making this for has, like, you have to build your buildings in a certain order, so you can't build like a barracks until you've built a headquarters or something. Yeah, so let's just put in a building definition, and we'll actually make it a list here, or an array, excuse me, that's an array, and say prerequisites. And lastly, we're going to put in a enumeration for demonstration purposes. So we're going to include an enum. I'm going to call it type. And so we're going to have military, industry, and research. And so then we're going to have a type that we call type. And that's it. We have our building definition, our content object, all specified and laid out. All right, so one final word. All of these are public fields. Just understand that that is not necessary in ContenTable. The public field, the ContenTable is compatible with public, private, or protected. It doesn't matter so long as it's a field and not like a property or something. It should work. So that's how you create a content object, a class that is compatible with ContenTable. Next time we'll be going over how to create a spreadsheet that is formatted in such a way that ContenTable can read. And I hope to see you there, and thank you for watching. Bye.